I think we often start with, in most cases, people have all of these supports that are kind of in this circle, kind of far out around, and that would be like treatment providers and people from the community that aren't very close to the family. They often get paid to work with the family, they're teachers, they're therapists, but we really work on pulling those support networks in, and how many can we bring into their intimate circle, because that's what many people have. People that can be successful have a lot of supports really close to their families and close to who they are and what they need. So I think I'm seeing greater success rates long term because of it. We do a lot of safety lists and for kids where they know exactly who to call if they know, and to recognize the signs if there's a relapse happening or if something's happening where a parent can't take care of them. They know exactly who to call, as that next person, and that person knows that they're there for that reason. And mom and dad know that it's okay for that child to do that. So it's really creating kind of an honesty and an open communication. We're not trying to say that relapse isn't going to happen again, because the likelihood of some type of relapse, whether that's mental health or poverty or substance abuse happening, is likely. That's part of the process of healing and part of the process of recovery, is to go through relapses. But what we want to do is really make sure that families and kids know what to do when that happens, and they understand what safety is and how to keep their kids safe within that. So I think that's just something different that we're doing, and it feels like we're getting more buy-in from parents and more honesty because of that. We have a really high conflict youth who's, a teenager. Her parents can't parent her. They made the decision, one's in jail and one is not able to parent, and it made that decision that they couldn't parent. So we're in this place of, how do we find the right place for this youth who has all these behaviors stemming from trauma and having to be moved from place to place? And traditionally, we want this child to be in a structured place that can provide all these things that we imagine in our mind the best for these kids. We want them to have access to all the resources they can imagine. We want them to have parents that are able to take care of them in the best way in our minds. And I think with this particular youth, we did something a little bit different, and we'd been thinking about, well, what can we look at? What family members can we look at? And people kind of went, ooh, that is because the family members that we have to choose from have a lot going on, and they, they're in the cycle of poverty, and they have all of these kind of like issues that they're trying to face as well. So is it the best thing to try to place this youth with somebody who might potentially not be able to provide for this youth the way we think that they need to? So I think we really got outside the box, and we decided to give that a shot and pour all of our resources into, a kin who we wouldn't typically consider certifying or moving forward with. And we did that. And this is the moment that I remember is transitioning this youth to this family member and walking through the door, and she looks up on the top shelf and she sees this piece of artwork that she created when she was 5 for this family member. And they hadn't had contact for years, but they've always had it up there on the shelf, and it was a little dusty. And she just looked up at it, and she was like welling up with tears, and she just said, "I'm home." And for me, it was the moment that I realized that permanency and preserving culture for kids, even if we think that it's not everything that might be in their best interest, those pieces are so huge and so important for these kids. And statistically, it shows they are most successful if they can be with their kin or with their family. If there's a way that we can try to make that happen, then we need to, because it's important to them and it's going to help them be successful. So I think the round table brought us to that place of thinking outside the box and taking it a step further past our comfort level. They're holding some of the biggest issues that you can imagine, and I think about all that they hold as we're kind of working through this, and it's pretty tremendous. They're strong kids, but they hold a lot, and they have to work through a lot, and we hold that for them too, because we, often we hold, their future and their lives kind of in our hands as we're making really big decisions that impact their lives. Really huge decisions, whether it's moving them out of the home or keeping them in. Either way, it's a really huge decision to make, and caseworkers hold that. And it's a huge level of responsibility that we have to ensure that these parents and that these children get the types of services that they need in order to be successful. And when you have a success because you have this really dedicated team and you've tried something completely outside the box and creative, and you see that work, it makes you want to do that for every family. And I think, at the department, we're in that place, this really neat place of transitioning. We're going through huge systems changes, and we have all of these very new initiatives that we're trying, and we're putting these in place, and with that comes a lot of learning, and it comes a lot of, I guess learning would be the biggest thing. We're trying to figure it out, but I'm thankful that we're doing it because it's changing the lives of children, and they deserve to have permanency, whatever that may be. Kids deserve a chance at permanency. So a lot of us feel very strongly about that, and how do we move towards that?